Hey everyone, welcome back to the bench. Let's dive into the next chapter of the build. This video comes to you in cooperation with PCB Way, Magic Factory and MRP Paints. The clear varnish had a solid weekend to cure, which meant only one thing. It was time to start applying the decals. This kit gives you two livery options, either a vibrant splash of color or a more understated monochrome layout. No surprise here, I went with the colorful one. I've always had a soft spot for jets that stand out. The most difficult decal in my experience was definitely the insignia on top of the left wing. The vortex generators underneath made the placement a real challenge. I had to use both mild and strong decal softeners, heat, and a lot of gentle prodding to get it to sit properly. It was a battle, but I got it to behave. Next, I applied the walkway decal, which is not my preferred way of anti-skid surface application, but out of the box is demanding to stick to the instructions, right? The fuselage stripe decals pose their own challenges. The engine inspection panel sits almost flush with the fuselage, which helped, but I still had to cut around the mounting pegs. From that point on, progress slowed dramatically. Although smaller decals took just as much time as the larger decals, but they are a greater number. But so far, knock on wood, only minor hiccups. And I am steadily checking things off the guide. The air brake was not flush at all, so I made relief cuts to avoid distortion when applying softener. After the softener has done its job, I retraced the cuts and then removed the part so that I can attend the edges. Among the stencils, I also added yellow bands on the rockets and a thin line on the leading edge of the horizontal stabilizers, which aligns with the angle indicator on the fuselage. The bumps also got some yellow bands. It has to be said that the decals are very high quality, and to no surprise they are made by Cartograph, which is very good to have in any kit. The external fuel tank needed some custom work too. The provided decals were way too long. I double checked the instructions several times, and I think I am not making a mistake. So I aligned the stripes on top and crossed them underneath. Then I sliced them along the center line with a scalpel. It worked mostly. The alignment is okay, but the pattern isn't fitting perfectly. Not a huge deal considering the complexity and the fact that that's on the bottom, so probably no one will ever see it. The sheet only includes one set of fuel tank graphics, which changes my original loadout plan, but this is a problem for another time. This video is sponsored by PCB Way. Most of you know them for custom PCBs, but they also offer professional 3D printing services. Whether you're after a resin, SLS or even metal parts, PCB Way delivers high precision results perfect for model building or custom tools. Uploading your design is easy. Just head to their website, choose your material and get an instant quote. No back and forth, no surprises. If you are into customizing your builds or prototyping parts, definitely check them out. Link is in the description. Once the final decal was on, it was time to move on into the weathering. I skipped the ceiling varnish for now and jumped right into the panel line wash. Here I used Tamiya's grey accent color. The panel lines are already quite defined, so my logic was, if the wash didn't make a visible difference, then maybe a wash isn't needed at all. After all, this bird is supposed to represent a farewell scheme, relatively clean overall. The underside of the airplane got the same color wash, The cleanup is relatively straightforward on these flat areas. A little bit of mineral spirits on a Q-tip and the excess wash is easily removed. That said, gear base, doors, legs and the racks all got custom medium grey wash, a mix of grey and dark grey washes. For such parts that have so many tiny details, I prefer to apply the wash very sparingly so that I can have easier time when removing the wash. These parts have fantastic surface details, but cleaning the excess with a small brush takes forever. Still, precision is everything here. It is incredible how much time gets eaten up by tiny surface details. But that's just the name of the game, right? Let's add a bit of color to this grayscale face. I weathered the rocket launchers using ammo shader in dark green. It's probably not the official use of that product, but it works beautifully. And it is water soluble, which I really appreciate after a full day of inhaling animal fumes. Next up was the insignia red gear. I gave it a wash using a mix of Starship filth and black oil paint tinted with mineral spirits. The bombs got the same treatment, but I swapped the filth for dark green oil paint. Not sure if the extra subtlety was worth the effort, but we're committed now. One thing I always find surprising is how easy oil paint is to clean off. Every time I do it, I am reminded all over again. With the washes done, I applied MRP semi-matte varnish. One of my favorites. Gorgeous finish with minimal effort. I coated the top of the plane and let everything else cure before moving on. Small detail work came next. The boarding ladder and the FOD covers got the usual hairspray treatment. Not exactly crew chief approved, but I wanted them to look well used. I also dry brushed the gear base with white oil paint. Not sure if that shows on camera, but it is somewhat visible in real life. Now for some general grime, this bird is meant to be cleanish. It's got a fresh paint job for a farewell flight, but there is still room for some dirt. It may have gotten a few more flights, or at least in this universe. I used Starship filth to stipple some grime onto the wings and the hump area. Also started outlining the access panels and added a bit to the cockpit sides. Using the same technique, I outlined the panel line that splits the fuselage
to expose the engine. For the smaller panels, which were too tedious to surround with oil paint and then blend the paint, I just slapped on some quantity and then blended that paint in. And finally I removed the excess oil paint inside the panel using some mineral spirits and a brush. Once the oil paint on the top surfaces was fully cured, I turned my attention to the underside of the airplane. Still working with oils here, and letting each step settle properly helps with the final look. With everything done, the paint on the belly should cure for a little while before I can handle it again. While waiting, I started weathering the fuel tanks. To be honest, I made an error while assembling them.
If you want to use the centerline station, you need the short version of the fuel tank, which is included in the kit. I, however, had already assembled both tanks using the wrong part. And of course, I only had decals for one of them. So, happy little accident, I guess. One tank will be pristine or thereabouts, and the other will look thoroughly used. Add some visual interest and story to the model, I guess. The last batch of oil paint weathering focused on the smaller parts. My general rule is grind around access panels and any moving parts or actuators. On the central pylon, I made one exception. This area just looks like a grime magnet. Next up was some paint distress using a graphite pencil. I chipped the paint on the edges, especially on the tears and the mirrors. Those parts see a lot of action. And with that it is time to add another layer of satin varnish to seal everything. MRP semi-matte went down again. This layer seals all the weathering, tones down the graphite sheen so the chipping is more visible, and preps the surface for the next effects. With the semi-matte cured, I removed the canopy masks. The front quarter windows had the expected issues from way back when I glued it and made a mistake, but overall I'm thrilled with how it turned out. I love this stage of the build. Final major weathering step: rain marks and speed streaks. For this I used ivory black, watercolor pencil and a mix of brushes. Subtle but very effective. I glued the pylons underneath so that the streaking would look more natural and cohesive. They are site specific, so double check orientation if you are building this kit. All the control surfaces got streaks too.
Should you wish to enjoy my videos without advertisements, follow the progress on my builds day by day, or get free access to 3D printable assets, visit my Patreon page and explore what the different tiers will give you. Join the community.
Then I use a gunmetal paint marker on the brake discs and some probes, and painted the inside of the engine access panels with aluminum, also a marker from gallery. After a quick wash, I think it looks just right. I installed the ram air turbine doors and did some gun blast staining using a mix of Mr. Rapid Thinner, MRP Flat Varnish and a little bit of MRP NATO Black. I use the same mix on the opposite side and behind the outlet that gets pretty dirty in most reference photos. I wear black pencil again, this time to suggest movement around the elevator assembly. And that wraps it up for the wiring phase, and frankly this episode. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, happy modeling fellas!